What is good, you guys? Welcome back to the report. Welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, we're going to be reacting to the news of Joel Embiid's injury. Now, this is really big. I was not even planning to record a video, but I had to when I saw the news. Man, this is absolutely huge in terms of the series and where it stands. Shout out to everyone who watched the last video. Make sure you guys watch if you guys have not watched that video. Unfortunately, that preview of the series was before the news came out that Joel was going to miss some time. I still don't know what the timetable is. It says he's indefinitely out, which could literally mean anything. It could mean he's out for one game. It could mean he's out for 5 games. Like you just don't know. So I mean, I kind of just hope that he's okay, man. I hope that he comes back, and because I really want to play a healthy Sixers. But yeah, I'm gonna be talking about the repercussions of that injury and how, you know, the game plan would change without Joel Embiid for part of this series. So leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. Go hit up my second channel if you guys have not already. Let's get right into it. So, like I said, man, Joel Embiid being out is a big blow. It is huge. You know, he is their best player. He is an MVP candidate, top 1, top 2 for MVP, whatever. He's gonna be evaluated next week, but the minimum time that he must be out is 5 days at least with the concussion, which means he's probably out for game 1 for sure. And yeah, Joel Embiid, you know, being out is huge, man. It is crazy, and I really hope that he's back as soon as possible, just because he's just an amazing talent. And I never want to play a team that's not healthy, because then you have, like, if let's say we win this series, if Joel Embiid is out for the series and we most likely win, you're not fans saying, oh, there's an asterisk, there's this and that, you know, like, what if Joel Embiid would have played? I'm tired of all that. I want to play a team that's fully healthy. You know, I'm tired. I don't want any excuses. And you know, just even besides the fact that I just want to see him on the court. It's like if the Heat were to win the series without Joel, you would see so many people saying, oh, it's a fake win because, you know, their best player was out. And I'm just tired of that. So I do hope Joel comes back as soon as possible, man. I really do. I still don't know why he was up in that game. I mean, why he was in that game when they were up by 29. Like, I don't know what that was about. I guess I saw something that Doc said about they made that run like a minute ago, he couldn't take him out, which I guess, you know, makes some kind of sense. But still, like, you guys were up by so many points. Like, you could have taken him out. Like, you could have intentionally fouled or done something to take him out. Like that's crazy. That might be the reason he's out. Like, I'm seeing a lot of people saying Siakam is dirty, and Siakam did like elbow him and hurt him, but like, I don't think it was intentional. Just like how Joel Embiid's, you know, like how Joel Embiid injured Scottie Barnes, that was not intentional either. So like, I don't think there should be anyone going at Siakam for that. He was just making a basketball play. It just happens, and you know, unfortunately for the Sixers, he was on the court at the time where he didn't need to be, and he got injured. So the game plan does change now with Joel Embiid injured. The game plan does change. I expect Philly. I don't know what Philly's lineup is going to be. I probably should have looked up, you know, who they started in place of Joel Embiid in the games that he was out. But I expect it to be like Paul Reed, maybe like DeAndre Jordan, who's not been in the rotation, but maybe him, maybe Paul Millsap. I think it's between those 3 for sure. And I really think that, you know, if the Sixers really want to go small, they could have a lineup with, like, I don't know, Niang at the 5. Like, I don't know how well that's gonna work, because I still think they want to have like a bench guy like Paul Reed, like off the bench. Paul Reed's not like a big. He's like a 3-4, like he's like 6'9", like he's like a power forward. Reminds me like a lot of like the mold of like not game style, but like as far as how he's built and, you know, what position he plays. He's like Precious. You know, Precious used to play the 5 for the Heat, and he plays some 5 for the Raptors. But I've never seen Precious as like a true center. And I don't see the same with Paul Reed, but you know, the Philly might throw Paul Reed in because I think he's their best option. You know, I think DeAndre Jordan is kind of past it. Same with Paul Millsap. So you're gonna see Paul Reed probably out there in the starting lineup, or like maybe Matisse Thybulle. But I think, you know, most likely it'll be Harden, Maxey, Danny Green, Harris, and Paul Reed. So you know. We'll see what happens with, you know, the starting lineup, but the game plan does change. The Heat, I expect a lot of attention to go to James Harden. You know, they're going to try to take him out the series you couldn't give him that Trae Young treatment with Joel Embiid out there, but now that Joel Embiid is not out there, especially for game 1 and probably game 2, you can try to isolate him and try to get as many defenders on him as possible, and try to give him that treatment that they gave to Trae Young and make the others beat them. Unfortunately, the Sixers still have a couple of options who are more threatening to the Heat than anyone on the Hawks. Tyrese Maxey is an emerging star. He can get going at any time. And Tobias Harris, who's disappointed a lot of people after he signed his big contract, can still have games where he scores 25. So they do have more talent, obviously, but I still think they're gonna try to take James Harden out those games that Joel Embiid is not in, and then that's gonna be really hard for the Sixers to win, because then you're kind of just relying on Tyrese to win you those games and Tobias to win you those games, and I don't really think they can. You're gonna see a lot of helping off of George Niang. You're gonna see a lot of helping off of, especially if Matisse is out there, even like Danny Green. Even though like Danny and Niang are like good shooters, I still think their primary focus with that Embiid is to take out Harden from the equation. And we'll see what Doc does about this. He might throw in Korkmaz for some shooting. He might throw in Isaiah Joe. Limit the minutes of Matisse Thybulle because of his how sometimes on offense he can kind of be a non-factor, and teams can actually use that to their advantage. So we'll see what Philly does with that. As far as the Heat's rotation, I think this probably means that we're probably not going to see a lot of Dwayne Dedmon. I think you're probably going to have to go small off the bench. The Sixers are not going to run DeAndre Jordan off the bench. Probably not even Paul Millsap. I think they're going to have a very short bench with Milton, Niang, probably Thybulle and Korkmaz. I think that'll probably be their 4 off the bench, if they have even 4 that they want to play. And I don't think the Heat are going to need Dwayne Dedmon out there. I think you're going to have to play smaller. And I think playing small against the Hawks really, really worked well. So I think the Heat are going to try to do the same thing. I think the Heat are gonna try to do the same thing against the Philadelphia 76ers. So you might see Caleb Martin, out there. I expect off the bench, obviously Hero off the bench. Shake Milton, I think that. I mean, not Shake Milton. Gabe Vincent. I'm looking at Shake Milton right now, so I said his name. Gabe Vincent was really, really big against Philly. I expect him to get minutes, especially defensively, against a guy like Shake Milton off the bench, who, hasn't been really good this season, but like at any given moment, he has a talent to score like 15 points if he wants to. So you're going to have Gabe Vincent out there. I think Oladipo has to be a lock after how he played against Atlanta. And then same with Hero. The other guys off the bench, I expect Caleb Martin to get some minutes because, if you have PJ as a 5, be that de facto backup 5, which I think he will be, because I think you're going to have to stagger some of those minutes. PJ is going to have to play essentially backup center for us. Unless he's in foul trouble, then Bam's going to have to play more minutes, because I really don't think we're going to see Dedmon. So you're going to have to play another big wing player, and Caleb Martin is that. I don't know if we're going to see a lot of Duncan. I think you're going to have to choose between him and Caleb, because I think the other 3 have to be locks. Gabe Vincent against Philly has been phenomenal. He had, I think, his career high against Philly. No, he broke it against Orlando the next game, but he had 26 against Philly. He's a pesky defender, and he's a really good option to throw onto Maxey and Harden, if they get hot. So Gabe Vincent has to be a lock. Oladipo, not just for defensive purposes, but offensively, what he brings to this team is something that it's very unique. We don't really have a guy who can really get to the rim at will apart from Jimmy. And Bam if he wants to, but Oladipo, his biggest asset when he was healthy was explosiveness and getting to the rim. And although he's not as athletic as he was before, he still showed against the Atlanta Hawks in that closeout game that he has the ability to get to the rim if he wants to and make plays. So he's going to definitely play, and you have to play the 6th man of the year off the bench. So that probably opens up one more spot. I don't expect Spo to run a 10-man rotation, so that's probably one more spot. And I think it has to be Caleb. Even though I like Duncan, I don't know if he's gonna get more minutes. Maybe if you need like shooting, and if Strus's shot is not falling, then you throw a guy like Duncan out there. But I think he's kind of like a situational player, because I think he can get played off the floor defensively if he gets into foul trouble. And that's another thing. The foul game is going to be a lot more easier for the Heat to manage without Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid draws a lot of fouls, as we all know. So you're not going to get Bam in that much foul trouble, hopefully, without Joel Embiid on the floor for the Sixers. So this is huge news. Obviously, you know, Joel Embiid is. We all know how great that guy is, man. He is a MVP candidate, if not the MVP. I had Jokic, but it doesn't matter. I think you're gonna see Paul Reed starting, like I said, and off the bench. I think, you know, the Sixers are gonna have to go small, and the Heat are gonna have to match it with their small lineup as well. So unless the Sixers play DeAndre Jordan, which is gonna be very surprising to me if they do, expect small lineups from both teams. And it's the same thing with the Heat. I do not expect to see much Dwayne Dedmon in non-Joel Embiid minutes. If Joel Embiid is not playing in a game, I think the Heat have to go small. So, yeah, that is kind of like my takeaway from this injury. Again, I really hope that he comes back as soon as possible. I want to play healthy teams as much as possible. So, prayers up to Joel, man. But yeah, that's the takeaways from this injury. Leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. Peace.